Do you need bad trays? No.
Recording.
That means it is time.
And we are live.
We're live from WrestleMania 76. We've got... Okay. It's Whatchu Spinnin episode 68. We're here in the Snake Pit, Jake's place, in the back of an Arby's in...
Hey, we do what we gotta do, you know?
No, I'm kidding. What's up? I'm Dorian. That's Jake on the other side in the Papasan chair. In the middle, we've got my main man, Matt. How we doing, fellas?
I like the middle.
Swell.
It's good.
He's a little
Good.
sandwich.
Sandwich.
Be my little cream in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
A little blood light cream.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
Wait a
a little foreshadowing, perhaps. Before we dive in, what do we got? Any good music stuff? Anything new anybody's listened to? I know I've got some stuff, but I'll save it.
Start with you. I know you got a new vinyl.
I guess, yeah, I got a new vinyl. I went up to Portland last week. Went to Music Millennium. I think that's what it's called, right? Shout out. That place is sick.
So fun.
Massive. Got a Quille Chris album there. This morning, actually, I sent you guys a video, but I was on my way to pick up my car downtown, and I biked there, and I was listening to Maps again. Dude.
I feel like we all fell back in love with Maps.
It was like a movie, man.
Yeah.
Like every track, no skips, just rode there, and I like slowed down, and I took like the scenic route too, because there's like construction and stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So worth it, man.
Rapper weed going, just flying.
Mm-hmm. Fucking, I feel
world.
like we all... Matt, I don't know. I can't speak for you, but I know I spun Maps this week while I was playing Overcooked on the Xbox with my girlfriend. She requested it. She was like, put on Billy Woods. I was like, fuck yeah, that's rad. Houdini, bro, great track. I was high all day. I escaped. Good song. But yeah, it's a good album for this kind of weather. You know, it's been kind of rainy, kind of sunny. It's been because it's a good mix of both. That album. I feel like once every couple episodes we gotta give nods to Billy Woods' project at this point. But I love it. That's the thing, is it's that impressive, you know. And we are basically a year since it came out, and it's like, dude, I don't think I've gotten that familiar with an album in that short of amount of time. Ever. You know, like I know that album almost like the back of my hand at this point. It's so good. The instrumentals, I listened to those one morning when I was in my office at work.
It was pretty good.
Oh yeah, somebody posted them on YouTube, and I was listening to them like as I was getting my day started, you know, drinking my coffee, opening emails, and I was like, damn, the instrumental for like the layover and stuff, and like FaceTime. Yes. Oh my god, dude. The back half of that album really just picks up steam. It's really weird because, in my opinion, I kind of mentioned this last episode. That's like my least favorite Danny Brown feature of all time. But it's like right after that, the album just picks right back up. It's like, Jesus.
And it is perfect for being outside. That's when I first heard it, was my morning walks.
Yeah.
Just letting that album play all the way from start to finish, and I fell in love with it. And I think we all have in our own ways and find our unique tastes in each track on that album. You know, from start to finish, it's just.
Yeah,
it's got that vibe that just doesn't go away, and you can put it on again and again and again. I think that's why I played it so much last year. I was just like, Jesus, I haven't done that for a long time with any artist.
Yeah,
it's pretty bananas.
Fun,
yeah, bananas. And then they just did a repress too. That not a repress, but they did like the OBI version that dropped in like Japan at like 4 a.m. and sold out instantly.
Fuck, no, that's
gotta love it.
That's awesome. And what was it? No, never mind. I don't want to put that out there because I might be completely thinking of something else. I thought I heard something that they were working on an album again or something. Billy Woods was, at least. But hopefully, maybe I'll just manifest it. He's working on an album. Matt, what about you? Anything in your...
I've been finding obscure stuff on eBay, honestly, with vinyls. Yeah. Found some more Brian Eno stuff. Found a Gary Newman promotional album that was like unopened, super cheap.
Damn.
And then I found a Jane's Addiction, their first album, an original pressing that I won the bid on. It was $70.
No shit.
Super stoked.
Original pressing of their
original 1987 live album that they did.
Oh shit.
which I will bring
damn.
up on this cast because that's one of
That's
the,
cool. That's a cool find.
yeah.
That is.
I was surprised it was so cheap too, but
Yeah.
I'll take it.
We'll take it for sure.
But yeah, new artists, not really. I've been kind of going back to post rock with Godspeed You, Black Emperor, and Mogwai, and getting on the more instrumental side. And some Lustmord, like I was telling you, outside, with the dark ambient noise. Just a lot of things that just kind of let me think a little bit more. I've been sick the last couple of weeks, so having that instrumental stuff going on in the bedroom while I was sleeping was perfect. Medicine for the head right there. That's about it for me.
Hell yeah. Jake, any other ones? I feel like I cut you off there, pal.
No, that was pretty much it.
Cool.
The rest of it, I'll hold on to it.
There's some.
I'm gonna gatekeep it.
Yeah. There's some stuff that I like don't want to get too into, but I've been going on like a really good metalcore kick. Low the UK. I don't know why it's like you need to specify that they're from the UK. 2 singers in a band. Like
We like that on this
we
podcast.
do love that. Speaking of two singers in a band and a band that we've covered on this podcast, did you guys see that Under Oath is headlining a festival in like South Carolina and they're playing They're Only Chasing Safety all the way through?
That's
No
cool.
way.
Yeah. It's like somewhere in the southeast, but yeah, they're fucking doing all of They're Only Chasing
Wow.
Safety. And I was like, I saw that news when I've been in like this huge, like that kind of music kick, and I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, God damn it.
Wow.
But yeah, so there's that little piece of exciting news. That'll be fucking cool. As I was telling you guys earlier, I'm kind of try to make it swing so I can see Lamb of God do Ashes of the Wake all the way through this summer, with Macedon doing Leviathan. It's going to be fucking nuts. But Rez, we've covered her on the podcast. Her new album came out. And the whole, like, her self-promotion for it, like, leading up to it was like, this is, like, the darkest, like, deepest, heaviest stuff I've done. Like, we're not doing that singing bullshit we did. Dude, it's so fucking good.
I did hear a
unreal.
couple of songs when it came out, and I liked it initially.
Yeah, like they're almost all collaboration tracks, but she like picked people I've never heard of. Like there's a song, Open Your Eye with Cyclops, who I barely know. That song kills. Like it's just back to back to back, and it's like very much a return to form, like Darker Than Something Wrong Here, that album that we covered. So I was like, God damn, hell yeah. Because she was kind of getting away, like she was experimenting with like a lot of stuff, like because she was she grew up like an emo kid, so she tried to experiment with that, and I was like, there's some misses on that, but she was a real return to form for her, so I was very stoked.
And you're gonna go see her in a couple months
in
after?
like 3-ish months basically is when Beyond is. Yeah, that'll be fun. Seeing her, AC Slater, Shaq Diesel's gonna be there.
Nice.
At Beyond Wonderland, going to see fucking Shaquille O'Neal, DJ.
Rad.
Is that his DJ stage name?
It's just Diesel now, but it used to be
my God.
DJ Diesel.
That's funny.
There's a couple other people that are going to be there that I'm excited to see. Boogie T, he's going to be fucking crazy. Yeah, so that'll be really fun. And then going to Utah to see her again with Above and Beyond, which will be really fun. Yeah, other than that, I think I'm going to keep some cards close to the chest. I kind of already showed my ass a little bit outside. But yeah, getting into some old stuff, some new stuff. But let's get into some stuff that we've all been listening to, huh? With the content for this episode. It's Whatchu Spinnin', episode 68. What you got, Matt? What you got, man?
Well, we're going to go back in time to 2013, and I like to bring up local bands, meaning local from Oregon, not necessarily Gene. This is a band out of Portland, Oregon. This is 2013's Whales and Leeches by the band Red Fang.
Insane.
Kind of a doomy metal, not doom metal, that's a little slower, but very rocky, I guess. And I saw them open for Rob Zombie probably back in around that area when this album came out at the Cuthbert. And that's where I first heard Red Fang, and it was a really good show. They put on an amazing show. They're all very talented musicians, and they look like they just got out of the back of a truck, and they're just cool guys. You can go have beer with them and just talk bullshit about whatever. And they're from Portland, and they've been doing it for a while. Again, they got that metal sound. And they had a guest appearance by Mike Scheit from YOB, who's another artist from Eugene. YOB is a doom metal band, and he's guest vocals on Dawn Rising, which is one of my favorite tracks on this album, for sure. I don't really like have a lot to say about them per se because I'm not like a huge fan, but I just love that they're local.
Yeah.
They have a hard rock sound, and this album in particular, for me, it's not the most fan favorite, but for me, it's got like a concept to it, and I enjoyed it a lot. So, what do you guys think?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's something to be said for, the fact that I've never heard of these guys because, they're from Portland. And I feel like that's something I like to pride myself on. I feel like I know my ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to what's going on in this state. It's why I talk shit on it so much. But, no, it's rad. I saw a lot of negativity surrounding this album, reading it, and I was like, I don't understand why. Like, people were saying it was repetitive, and I was like, it's really not. Like,
that was the big argument that I saw, that it was repetitive. And
I mean, it is not really though, because it's like, if you look at it with this album, you kind of got to look at it at a deeper than surface level, because it's they're putting on a clinic in guitar riffs. Like, it's a crash course clinic, because it's like one song will have 7 different like ideas of a concept, within it, but it's just the way that they layer it and everything. It sounds like there's 7 guitars on every song. It's just a whirlwind, and it's fucking impressive, because it starts off with DOEN, which is one of my favorite tracks off of the album, and it grabs you by the gall, and then it just doesn't let go it's like, oh, this is what we're into. Even songs that slow down a little bit and they're a little more drony, like Crows and Swine, it's like, no, I'm still fucking in this journey, driving through the desert on a shitty motorcycle that holds 7 people somehow. It's like Arizona Mad Max, but in space somehow. I don't understand. It's like, it's so dope though. I love it.
Yeah, it was good. I really liked it too. Enjoyed it. First thing, obviously, that you catches your attention is the cover of it.
yeah,
Really nuts, really wild. I like that the physical is like kind of it's not called holographic, right?
I know. What is that term that they use for that? I'm not sure.
I think it's holographic.
Is it holographic?
Yeah,
It just like
it kinda has a
moves.
different image.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's like it's kind of looks like one of those like pictures that you're like, name one thing that you recognize in this, and it's like all a bunch of random stuff.
Right.
But it's like really cool. It's catches your eye, and then you hear the music that goes with it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is
I
perfect
just
for.
noticed there's a girl in the background.
Yeah, there's a girl like a top left corner. I was looking at it.
It's like early AI generated art,
Yeah.
where like nothing made sense, but there was like, you could see a girl in it, and then an owl, and then it's just
Yeah.
everything else was just meat.
Yep. And like some peppers and stuff in there. But apart from that, like the musical side of it, really good. I did see that also, that they were saying it was repetitive, and I think they just didn't take enough time to listen to it, because the more that you listen to it, the more you realize track by track they do have differences. They are separate. Well, they carry some similarities, but for the most part, it's all different. And some songs, they're a lot heavier. Some are slower.
Right. I think it's a thing that happens within this kind of music, with bands like Red Fang and Kiss and Queens of the Stone Age and everything, is that they all kind of sound, it's a weird genre of music. It's that weird desert rock, stoner metal, like whatever you want to call it. And for some reason, there's something just within this genre to where you have to be very careful when you're creating it, because it does kind of fall into that category, because there's just not a lot of it that's ever been made.
True.
It is such a weird niche. So people are like, it sounds the same, and it's like, no, it's just like, it's not really. That's why you don't hear it on the radio, is because it's a little more complex than that,
Very much, very much so.
It's a little more complex than, normal stuff, which is why it doesn't get done.
You can say that the music is repetitive in a sense that, other artists do the same thing. And I'm not going to, shoot down other artists, but let's just, for example, like an Aerosmith album from the 80s. They're all going to sound the same on those albums.
Yeah.
Any artist from any genre does that once in a while, and that's how they define their sound. So what did they want? I don't know. They wanted something more like their first couple albums. And I think that the fans sometimes grow restless because they think their bands change their sound. But if you're going to stick around, like a good example would be Rush. Like, they altered their sound throughout their career and made themselves prevalent until, the late 2000s, and beyond. So if you're going to compete and do that, you're going to have to alter your sound a little bit. But that said, this album is fun. It's a rockin' album. You can play it in the summertime. It's good for like barbecuing and just shooting the shit. And it's got some killer riffs, like you said.
It
The
does.
bass player was amazing live. He sings, the two guitars sing, and then of course they have the guest vocals from Mike Scheit on Dawn Rising. But they're great performers live, and they just go out there and kill it. And very good musicians in their own right. Good drumming too. And they've been around doing it for a while. They were on Letterman when this album came out.
I saw that.
Performed Bloodlight Cream. They had Paul Schaefer, who's the organ player. He was playing organ on that song.
That's
It'd be cool
badass.
to see that and see how that performance was. But it's just fun rock music, and they're local. So anytime we can find a local band that we can represent, that's what we're about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Get more familiar with local bands. It is cool because there's a couple local. I was looking at this earlier, like not I guess the most famous, but like some bands that have come out of Eugene and like
Quite a few.
Oregon, a couple. Yeah, and this is just another one of them. So that's cool though that you saw them with Rob Zombie at the Cuthbert. That's
Good way to experience that
Yeah.
band for the first time. Yeah, it was a good show.
It's like you say, like, you just give me the setting, who they opened for, and that they were there, and I know exactly what that was like.
Yeah.
And it's just bitching. It's just fucking awesome. Like, because I'm like, yeah, the Cuthbert, like, it was probably around June, July-ish.
Summer day, yeah.
It was at night, so it was pretty nice, There's a couple brewskis involved,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it's just, that sounds fucking perfect. And then the fact that, they're just from up the creek, that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like we've talked about Floater, we've given them their flowers and everything. Like, they obviously are a professionally produced band, but it's like to have something that is like I said, within this like desert stoner genre, whatever, they're like one of the biggest artists in it at this point. We were talking earlier, you look on Spotify and it's like, oh, they're just going to be touring like, in Nevada or something. It's like, no, they're like on the East Coast, and then they're going to go hop over and do a leg in Spain and shit. And then they're going to go play like fucking Sonosphere or whatever the hell. Like, it's like, damn, these guys really they got out the mud, basically.
They put in their looks, man. They've toured with a lot of huge acts. I was reading on Wikipedia. I don't have anything saved, but they've toured with so many huge
In
acts.
Flames.
That's what it was. I saw something that was familiar.
Yeah, In Flames. They were on like Ozfest or something back in the day. Like, fuck yeah, man.
It feels like small town, like making it big. It's like, yeah, that's us.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when Mariota got drafted. We're
exactly.
like,
It's
fuck yeah, man. No, and it's awesome. And it's again why I kind of mentioned it's silly to me. I'm like, how the fuck did I not hear about these guys? Because I got hella into like this kind of stuff in Queens of the Stone Age when I was in high school, and I'm like, damn, I feel like I was just like I just like turned around like right before you get there, like right before I got to this album. I was like, okay, we'll go to a different genre of music.
Their first two albums, self-titled and Murder in the Mountains, are decent too. So if you did like this album, I'd recommend checking those out as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Do we know, speaking of Murder the Mountains, is the bonus track that's on Spotify, was that on the first album?
I'm not sure actually. Yeah.
I didn't think to look it up, but I was thinking about that this morning when I was doing my notes. I was like, But fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Red Fang.
Red Fang, baby.
Do we want to top it up?
Let's top it up, baby. Starting it off. My honorable mention is Blackwater. It's got like a pirate kind of feel to it. It's like arr, bar, dar, dar.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what that was.
That's very Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. 3, Crows and Swine. Number 2, Failure.
Nice.
And then number 1 for me was Dawn Rising. That's one I can just blast. Another honorable mention would be Voices of the Dead. But yeah, Dawn Rising was my favorite track. Go Red Fang.
Go Red
Good
Fang.
band.
Jake, you want to go or me?
Yeah, I'll go next. Honorable mention, Bloodlight Cream.
Nice.
Love that. But the follow-up made my top 3. So number 3, I'm going Doin.
Nice.
That one's killer. Number 2, Dawn Rising, and then 1516.
Hell yeah.
1516, I feel like just
Totally
goes
forgot
so
about that.
hard. It was just stuck in my brain.
It's a song I played.
It's a song you played
The song I
30
played.
minutes ago.
Yeah.
Don't do dabs
Literally.
before the podcast. Note to
Love
self.
it. Fuck yeah, 1516. For me, I've got No Hope. This is my first honorable mention. Good track. My other one is Voices of the Dead as well. Shout out to that song. Number 3 for me, Doen, Doen, whatever they wanted us to call it. Just again, like I said earlier, just grabs you. Great intro, just builds in intensity. Very much like Colossus off of that Idols album we covered. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit, just in the way that it kind of traveled. Number 2 for me, Crows and Swine. Actually, don't know why, just like the feel, like it's got a very swingy feel to it. And then number 1 for me, also Dawn Rising. That fucking intro, man. I love a big intro like that.
Thunderous, scary fight scene.
Yeah, it was like almost Enema by Tool. Like,
yeah,
it was that kind of album.
vibe to it.
Yeah, so I like that song a lot. So Dawn Rising. And that would conclude Whales and Leeches by Red Fang, released in 2013, which was Matt's pick for this episode 68 of Whatchu Spinnin. We'll be right back to kind of keep it within the same year and go with Jake's pick. We'll be right back. It's Whatchu Spinnin. Hello. That hurt. Jesus.
He has exercised the
That was like
demon.
a bark.
I downed a Rebel from Dutch Bros on the way over here. We went to Target because, you'll actually, fuck it. You both might appreciate this. Target is like a huge Lego sale going on right now. So if you need any sets,
Oh,
go get them.
Did you buy a set?
We already, I'm not sure if you saw when we did last episode, the Lego flowers that were right in front of the
I saw
record wall.
those.
We got 4 sunflowers now that we're going to build tonight.
Very cool.
Yeah. She like got a notification on her phone because she has the Target app. It was like literally Lego sets on sale. And she's like, what else do we need from Target?
Hell yeah.
She literally asked me, she's like, what do you want from Target? After she'd already told me that, like 3 hours later, I was like, what are you getting? She's like, Lego plants. I was like,
exactly that.
I was like, bet. Okay, cool.
I have I think it's the lilies one, and then Angela, we made like a couple weeks ago the succulents one.
Nice.
Really cool.
Hell yeah. I want to get the sucky one. Speaking of succulents, I'm trying to revive that goddamn plant still. Shout out Miho. Shout out Onion. Anyway. What do you say? I guess we'll talk about
stuff.
Jake's pick. It's time to move on. We're back. It's Whatchu Spinnin, episode 68. Time to talk about some good old, a classic really in modern hip hop with Jake's pick for this week. What you got, big fella?
It's Earl Sweatshirt, 2013. Doris. His debut from Odd Future, not including his mixtape that he made before this. But yeah, his debut, really kind of the first time he did a whole thing on his own, but he had a lot of help from a lot of people, which is crazy on the production and features that he has on this. First
Absolutely.
off, fucking nuts. But yeah, it's like his intro to hip hop, besides his features he was doing with Odd Future, and yeah, it just kind of paved the way. It started what we now know as Earl and his very experimental, very crazy stuff that he went on to do afterwards. So this being a debut, it's like completely 360 from what he does nowadays, which is nuts. But yeah, I thought I'd bring this up because it's a cool little nod back to the olden days. So
Right. I remember when this came out, man. This was in a weird time because it was like I had gotten into, like, when I was in high school, like my 4 years in high school, I was just bebopping between music genres. Like I was fucking doing God knows what. And so I would get like, kind of like nowadays, you know, it was kind of a precursor to all of this where I would just hyper fixate on a fucking genre for a while. And this kind of brought me back to like the dark rap and stuff. And I wasn't fucking ready for this album when it came out. I like truly don't think that I appreciated it nearly as much as I did this time around listening to it fucking almost 11 years later, which is bananas to think about.
yeah.
But yeah, this was it's so good. It's so experimental. It really was kind of the, like you said, it was kind of it kind of shaped a whole, like really the whole genre, kind of, Alchemist and Earl. This is like the start of them. It's almost like watching a WWE star's career, because it's like, oh, this is the start of this. And it just gets, it's like, it just goes from here. And it's wild to think that this was, back in 2013. And I was like, yeah, dude, I was in fucking high school. My brain was not fucking ready for this. My brain legitimately could not fathom how good this was and like really appreciate like the introspectiveness. I wasn't nearly introspective enough to understand like what all of that was. And yeah, listening to it now as an adult, I was like, Jesus Christ, a lot of this is like so heavy and deep, like lyrically. And then the production standpoint as well is very simplistic at times, but also very dense. And it just, both of those things combined are really just make this a really great listen and a very meaningful album. I mean, when you look at it like that.
We definitely, look at all the genres on this podcast. We span the genres. The genre Spaniards. All right. My brother has been telling me to listen to Earl Sweatshirt for years, and I never have until you brought this album up. So for me, it was my introduction to him. And at first, the album, this one, it didn't really hook me right away. But the more I listened to it, I fell in love with it. Anytime I hear Chum, I get emotional. That song lyrically touches on so many different levels, and it's a song that you can play and just kind of relate to. I think anybody, no matter what you're going through in life, that song has a cool message, and I think it's almost a sad song, but for me, it was a positive affirmation for a lot of things in life in general. Not just for me, but just the way you should look at life and kind of move on from things. And what a great debut album for somebody to have. Like you said, he had his mixtape before, but this is a solid debut. Great production, great features. Again, back to the lyricism. It's great. I like the underground vibe that it has with, the beat structure and a lot of things that he's doing on the album. He's got a lot of help, like you said. The Neptunes had a role in production, which is cool because we like the Neptunes. But yeah, this is a fun album. And the more I listen to it, like I said, it just kind of grew on me. So definitely going to try to find this and get in my collection just for Chum, just because I love that song.
Yes.
Honestly.
I mean, really, it is one of those kind of cases where you're like, damn, because there's little tidbits, like Sunday is a great song as well. Night, all of the Damo Genesis features on this are really strong, and they're both so fucking young in their careers. And then it's like, God damn, like Frank Ocean's on it, and he's also super young. It's like the last time he raps ever, basically. Like Frank Ocean just never rapped again, basically. Like a true rap song. But anyway, and there was a quote in the Wikipedia article that quoted another article. I hate that I can't reference who said this, but it was some critic, and I take what they say with a grain of salt, but this was a really good quote. It said that Earl Sweatshirt learned that shock value can only go so far, and that was something that his peers at the time, i.e. Tyler the Creator and the rest of Odd Future, weren't caught up to yet. Suffice it to say, Tyler the Creator definitely caught on to that, and it was, it's like, oh yeah, there's no like, the aggressive stuff comes from the features. It's not Earl Sweatshirt being like, I'm gonna kill a baby and eat his head, it's
like what Tyler was doing at that time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh shit, Odd Future, it kind of put some legitimacy. It paired with Channel Orange by Frank Ocean really gave the guys in Odd Future legitimacy at the time, and kind of set the pathway for Tyler the Creator to kind of essentially grow up and start releasing really, really solid projects, which we've talked about on this podcast before. But yeah, fucking Doris, man, I was thrilled when you brought this up, because it's like, I was like, oh shit, I didn't vibe with that album back in the day nearly as much as I probably will now. And yeah, from the start, like that 808 on Pre with Flair, or however the fuck you say that. SK LaFlair. Yeah. I just kept doing that. I'd be like, this is Pre with Flair.
Yeah. It at some points too feels super dated. Like it feels like that old like Odd Future vibe. It's bleeding with it everywhere. Oh yeah. Some songs like you hear like the old school like Tyler production that he was doing with like Yonkers and all that stuff. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's like what year is it when I'm listening to this?
it's like 2010, 2017. Like it hits all of them. Like especially the song "Whoa" with Tyler the Creator.
Yeah.
That "Whoa" sample. It's like, dude, this is like just goober shit. You know.
Uh-huh. It's like not really taking it seriously. Like the beat, it's like, what is it? But then you, on the contrast, you have beats from like RZA and then Pharrell and nuts, man.
It's wild. And then like Matt Martian's also. Jacob, speaking of WWE characters, Jacob is slowly trying to tell the history of the Neptunes and the internet simultaneously, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's lining up.
I'm just
The stars are aligning. It's weird that it somehow does. I don't plan it.
Well, because
It's awesome. I think we all have those little hidden gems that we do individually on this podcast.
We're just kind of like laying the groundwork. Like, so here's how everybody's connected. Here's how Pharrell Williams and Tyler the Creator are
Connect
actually
the
the same.
dots, motherfucker.
This is how they met.
It's so funny, but it's great. You know, it's insane that, you know, that's the other thing that needs to be said is this was again Earl's debut, and he's already getting help from these people. You know, he's already getting recognition and like cosigns from the Neptunes and RZA. You know, we went on a whole diatribe for like 4 episodes about how badass RZA and the Wu-Tang Clan are. You know, like that's nuts to me. It's nuts to think about, man. And then there was like rumors at one point that like a young Thundercat was going to help out, which is also hilarious. But yeah, it's just it's like damn near perfectly executed. You know, it's like, and how could it not with everybody that was involved? Like The Alchemist was an engineer on it, you know, like, it's like, it's gonna be a gem, you know. It might take 10 years for most people to catch on to it, which is why I strongly suggest if anybody didn't like this at first, go listen to it again.
Yeah, keep playing it.
Yeah.
You'll find a love for it lyrically. If you don't, then you don't like lyrics.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, seriously.
Yeah. Well, and it also came when like he was going through it really. Like he went to like a boarding school in Samoa. His mom like
and he
kicked
was
him
gone
out
for a couple years.
Yeah, and then he came back and it was like, boom, get to work on this. And then recording the album was a fucking nightmare within and of itself. Sunday, the song with Frank Ocean that wasn't the original version. His laptop like fried the hard drive, and so he lost that whole song.
Oh damn.
So like he couldn't mix it, and so they're like either make a new one or just scrap it. And so he's like, fuck it, they just redid the whole song from the ground up. So it's like the fact that it was so tumultuous and then it still comes out in such a strong project, you know, and it's like what, 17 songs in like 48 minutes or something like that, which is a nuts runtime to track ratio.
Yeah, and it's really cool too that he, for a debut, like thinking about it in like that group Odd Future, he was probably the more experimental out of the bunch. And
for sure,
you could think when you hear this at the time, and even nowadays, you're like, oh, you know, this is the craziest stuff he's gonna do. No, you go on and he does Feet of Clay, that's super crazy, and then some rap songs that's even more like just drumless beats that he's just rapping over, that's also with the same lyrical, like he's just so put together as a rapper that it's nuts.
Well, and then now his like reputation nowadays as well is that he's a plug and play guy. He can rap on fucking anything. Like The Alchemist just uses him to fill space. he's like, oh, you know, West Side Gun and all these guys. Like, there's like one bar. Like, who could we do? Ah, fuck it, Earl. Where you at?
Earl.
He's like, let's get fucking Sweatshirt in here. Let's fucking wrap it up. And it's like, he's like, yeah, fucking do whatever, man. Like Falling Out the Sky, one of Arm & Hammer's best songs.
Yeah.
Like like there's so many songs by these other artists that I'm like, yeah, one of my favorite songs of theirs has Earl Sweatshirt on it. You know, it's like, and he's got it's just his delivery is part of his charm, you know, like the she dropped a low, you know, all of that, like the droning monotone, it's like part of his shtick, and it's what makes it work in my opinion. So fuck yeah, man. Earl Sweatshirt once again.
Yeah, no, definitely give it a listen. I feel like this one gets overshadowed by some rap songs, incredibly, because that album is bizarre in its own. But young Earl, he still had it. He was born with it, and he just paved the way so much for experimental hip hop.
Oh, absolutely.
That it's nuts that everything after this, it just kind of really cemented like experimental hip hop as a genre. It's cool also that the song Sasquatch, he shouts out Navy Blue.
Oh, does he really?
Really?
Yeah,
That's
he's
cool.
like, shout out my homie Sage Elsesser, like says his actual name. But
Fuck yeah.
I heard it. I was like, again, Navy Blue? Like, this is like 10 years ago. What the fuck?
Bad.
Before he even did anything.
Yeah. And then he also was like, yeah, man, that's so funny. Fucking Navy Blue popping up always randomly. Like, it's just, and you always hear his like legal name. It's never,
Yeah, it's
I
never
think
like
there's so many. Was like a painter and a
Yeah.
a skateboarder and like all these
Yeah.
things. So he's probably been doing all those things forever.
right. It's fucking, and they're very connected to skate culture, so that's probably what it is too.
Probably.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Shout out Navy Blue, I guess.
That's cool.
Hell yeah. Do we want to top 3 it up or closing arguments? What we got, fellas?
No, let's. Honorable mention, I'm gonna go with Chum. I love Chum.
For sure.
Probably one of the first ones I heard of this album. And yeah, that 4 count, that Pharrell beat, you know it's Pharrell. Number 3, Burgundy. Number 2, Sunday. And then my favorite is Centurion.
Fuck yeah.
I love all of Vince Staple on this, man.
Yeah, did love that too. That was because this came out right when I was getting into Vince, and so that was, you know, I was like, hell yeah. That was what drew me to it. That was about what kept me around long enough. Hell yeah. I guess at that rate, I'll go next. Honorable mention for me, Whoa. Kind of talked about that one. It was about as odd futures you could get on this album. Second honorable mention, Horse. That opening guitar riff, I had forgotten about that song, maybe never even heard it. And when it came on, it was in the playlist. It was right before the Red Fang album started.
Okay.
And I hadn't heard anything off of that. Horse came on with that guitar intro, and I was like, oh, Red Fang's on. And I was like, no, there's still
Wait a minute.
there's still 2 songs left in this Earl Sweatshirt album. So yeah, Whoa and Horse for my honorable mentions. Number 3 for me, 20 Wave Caps. Really liked that track. Just had a good vibe throughout it. Number 2, Night. Good way to wrap up the album. Great feature with Damo, and the beat on it was really sick. Number 1 for me, Chum as well. It was like the only song that resonated with me when I first heard it, and when I came back to this album the past couple weeks, it had a whole new meaning for me, and it was like, yeah, I'm glad that he brought this up, because it was good to kind of have a deeper appreciation for this song and that album as a whole. So thanks.
We love that track. For me, honorable mention would be Molasses. Love that RZA track.
Nice.
Or RZA feature. 3 would be Night. 2 would be Sunday. And then going with the consensus is Chum being my favorite track.
Fuck yeah, man.
Sir.
Chum it up. Welcome to the Chum Bucket.
You're gonna die.
You're gonna You're Gettysburg, baby. Fuck yeah. Shout out. Fuck yeah. Well, that was Doris by Earl Sweatshirt, released in 2013. If you didn't like it when you first listened to it back then, please, I implore you, go listen to it again. You will like it. And even if you've never heard of it, listen to it. But don't listen to it once. Listen to it at least 5 times. It's
Not 6. Just 5.
5. It grows on you every time. If you listen to it 5 times, you like the whole album. That's my theory. I'm kidding. Anyway, that was Jake's pick for this week. It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 68. Time to wrap this baby up. Send it to the moon with my pick. We'll be back.
To the moon.
Okay. Gangstas and gangstettes and every type of gang in between. It's time to wrap it up. This fantastic episode. It's been a blast. I've personally had a lot of fucking fun today.
Yes.
Red Fang, Kills, Doris, classic. This one, however, been a heavy favorite of mine since about October, basically right when it came out. It's Goodnight, God Bless, I Love You, Delete by Crosses, released October of 2023, so hot off the press, basically. Chino Moreno of Deftones pairs up with Sean Lopez, the guitarist from Far, and makes something even more filled with lust and sensual than Deftones ever could be. It's just great electronic stuff. Some familiar sounding stuff, if you ask me, for something that's brand new. I love it. Yeah, but I'll shut up for now. What do y'all think?
Yeah, shut up for a minute, would you? Let's talk about this. I'd never listened to Crosses at all. I know they've been around. They don't have a lot of releases. They have like a
This
few early.
This is their second
album.
full album, yeah.
It made me dive back into Palms too. I'm not sure if it was in Palms, but back to this album. Holy cow! It was cool to hear Chino in a different way, not aggressive at all. He's singing. He's using his talents in other ways, whether it's creating different soundscapes with the instruments he's using, but it sounds so good. It's got that Depeche Mode kind of vibe to it. I'm not going to say that in a negative way at all. I think it's very positive because
I agree.
If you like Depeche Mode, you will love this album. The first 3 tracks with Pleasure, Invisible Hand, and Found, man, that just sets the tone so well. And a lot of the instruments going back to that he uses, he's got like a vocoder and like different things that are going on in the background. It just, if you like electronic stuff, this has everything you want in an album, and it's catchy with the rhythms and the lyricism's good as well. Runner is a great track on that album. Holy shit. But from start to finish, I found a lot of different aspects that just stood out. Great pick, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Really good. I like it's just something a little bit different that he's doing. Kind of going into more like dreamy kind of sounding. It kind of poppy also.
Yeah.
And electronic, but no, it's really solid. Start to finish, man, just caught my attention. I like the cool little LP feature on there.
That was sweet.
It was so random, but it works so well.
What the fuck? I heard this, like, I was listening to it and didn't look at the track list. And I was like, wait, that sounds familiar. And then I look, and then I'm like, it's LP, but it's spelt weird. I usually see it with a capital L. I'm like, but wait, is that actually him? And it was him.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, that was a very pleasant surprise, and it almost could have been a fucking disaster, right? Like hearing, because it's kind of in the middle of the album, and you hear it, and you're like, I don't know how LP can fit on this. Like, how is he gonna like play into this? And then it's one of the stronger songs on the album.
Definitely.
Suffice it to say, I think all of them are strong in their own right, but that's like really saying something. And it's very cool to see, because when you look at like the track breakdown and who did what, it's not just Sean Lopez producing this and then Chino Moreno singing on it. It's like they're very split. Like Chino's playing bass on a track. Like it's very split. It's very much a collaboration, not just make this and then I'll sing, which I thought was really cool. Made me appreciate Chino Moreno a lot more, actually, because I already loved him from Deftones. But then I was like, oh damn, he can actually like make music, because it's very complex too, this album. There's a lot, as you said,
a lot going on.
As you said, it's very soundscapey, and so it's like there is a lot going on. And so I'm like, damn, these two are talented as fuck. I don't even know what the hell Far is, but I might have to go check that out now. Yeah. Like, close the loop on it. But no, I was very surprised. It was a very strong album.
You got the Robert Smith feature with Girls Float, Boys Cry. Kind of
Great.
a shout out like Boys Don't Cry from The Cure.
Yeah.
It's a great track as well.
I loved that one. I had forgotten about that song until we came back and were listening to it for this episode. I was like, oh shit, I forgot there was good old Bobby Smith. Bobby. Mecca Streisand.
I feel like this also kind of like swept under the rug a little bit, because it was just late last year that it came out. I didn't see anything about it.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's solid right now. I feel like it needs maybe a little bit more time. I gotta look back also at their older stuff. I don't see another album, just a EP, right?
Yeah, I guess this is like an actual no.
It is not. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, they have an album before this, but
in 2014. Oh
yeah.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, so they went like damn near 10 years without making music. This album took 4 years without releasing anything. This album took 4 years for them to make. Like, they had different streaks of creativity. There was enough to make a double album, So this was almost twice the length, but they pared it down. So that's insane as well. Their whole plan was to release, like, kind of do what The Weeknd actually did this when he first started his career. He released EPs and then just did an album with all three of them, just mashed together. That's what they were going to do. They were going to do like 3 or 4 EPs and just mash them together and make a mega album. But they just got on a hot streak and they're like, no, fuck this. Like, we just need to put out an album. They're like, they just wrote a creative wave, they said, after they got together. And so like half of it was written at the beginning of this 4-year span. Half of it was done at the end. Invisible Hand, I think, was the song they said that they just had done like that. They're like, yeah, that song was like insanely quick to make. Like, that was like what started the hot streak. Yeah, I found this out. So this is funny, the way I just want to tell how I found these guys. Because if anything, I felt like I would have known about these guys because of, you know, Deftones and nu metal and whatever. But they just played up in Portland like 15 nights ago or whatever. And back in October, they already had like tickets pre-sailing going on. And I was like, okay. And it was like some Live Nation page or something was like, yeah, go see Crosses. And I saw the picture and I was like, is that fucking Chino Moreno from Deftones? Like, I was like,
that guy.
I was like, what the fuck is Crosses? And so I went, and this album had come out like the day before, or no, it was like Invisible Hand had come out and this album was like coming out in a week is what it was. It was literally like right before we went to see Arm & Hammer.
Okay.
It was when I discovered these guys. And I was like, oh, fucking no way. I was like, this shit rules. And then I went and listened to their back catalog, which is pretty impressive as well. And then, yeah, once the album came out, I was like, oh, it's way better than I could have ever imagined. Like this, you know, Light as a Feather, Eraser, the LP feature, like there's strong stuff throughout and it's nuts. Like, I just don't understand. I'm like, how the fuck did this get swept under the rug, as you said, Jake? Because it really kind of did. No one's talking about it.
They should be. It's a great album. Should be,
wild.
honestly. It's got such a good vibe to it. It's cool summer music, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing, is it sounds like, and I mean the imagery of it and everything, it seems like it would be very dark and gothic, but it's like actually very light sounding at times, you know? Mm-hmm. I didn't have a problem listening to it on the way over here.
Not
you know?
at all. Yeah.
It didn't feel out of place, you know? So, I don't know. Shout out. Again, don't know who the fuck Sean Lopez is, but Chino doing weird ambient, you know, Depeche Mode stuff. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. And pairing up with Robert Smith, an LP.
Exactly.
Like the more that you sit here and like really think about it, it's like none of this makes sense.
Yeah, like on paper it doesn't sound like it should work.
Yeah. But then they have like such a dedicated fan base. Like you look at their live videos and everybody's like singing every song along with them. Their live shows look awesome because it's just 2 people, so they're all very intimate shows. Mm-hmm. Like they were playing at the Crystal Ballroom is where the show was.
I need to look at Crosses because it looks like it just has more streaming because it's been out longer. But
yeah,
I need to go back listen to Crosses because it definitely like interesting. Just another side of kind of, you could say, Deftones.
Yeah.
But it's also making it its own thing.
Yeah.
It's its own thing in its own right. And yeah, you have songs like Runner. Mm-hmm. I loved Runner. Also with Natural Selection, really good song. Yep. Towards the end, I feel like it kind of slows down a little bit at some times, like with Girls Float, Boys Cry. But no, really solid for the amount of tracks that there is in the runtime. It's really good.
Hell yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Fun fact, Natural Selection, not Chino on vocals. It's Sean Lopez. It's the other guy. He takes over lead vocals on that song. Which I thought was very interesting because that was a late favorite for me the past couple of days. I was like, damn, this. I was like, Natural Selection. I was like, this song kind of fucking rips. And I was looking, like, doing all the research this morning. I was like, I literally had just listened to it and went back, and I was like, oh my god, that's not Chino, huh? It's like, fuck yeah. But hell yeah, guys, I'm glad that you liked it. I'm very glad, as I was kind of telling y'all. I wanted to have this physically so that way I could appreciate it a little bit more before bringing it up, just because I've been hooked on this album since I heard it. I am good.
Where'd you find it at?
Moonrock, actually. I had seen it. I had seen it at Music Millennium when we went up there for the Suicide Boys concert, but I had to get maps instead, and I'm glad I did because I'm never gonna see that again. And then. Yeah, Moonrock, I was going to buy something completely different, and I was like, let me look through new arrivals. It was like the third one I saw in the new arrivals bin, and I was like, go ahead and I was like, start ringing me up. I'm gonna go put this away. Put away whatever the fuck it was. I don't even remember. It was like probably a Nirvana
Barbra
album.
Streisand's greatest hits.
Yeah, actually, it was Tito. I don't know. Fucking Tito Ortiz greatest hits.
The Wrestler?
Yeah, it was GSP, George St. Pierre's workout tape. It was How to Break Your Leg 7 Different Ways with Anderson Silva. So that was, it was meant to be, you know? And then it was literally right before last episode we did. And so I was like, okay, I just got this. I was like, it's whatever, destiny. I was like, I got to bring it up. So, hell yeah.
Great pick.
I knew you, Matt. I was like, I think Matt might like this or hate this.
Yeah.
I was like,
hate it.
And then I was like, Robert Smith. I was like, no, we got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. But anyway, let's go ahead and do honorable mentions, top threes. I'll start us off. Just because we talked about it most recently, Natural Selection, honorable mention for me. Second one, Invisible Hand. Great track, loved it. First one I heard. Number 3 for me, Found. It's when you really start hearing that you're going to get into really soundscapey shit at the beginning. And then number 2, Eraser. Really liked that song and just want to touch on it real quick here. It kind of reminded me of The Apparition off of the latest Sleep Token album. How it kind of has a very gentle beginning and then the end of it gets very aggressive. That's what Eraser kind of did for me because it doesn't pick up until the very end, and then it's got these very aggressive, almost Rammstein guitar tone going on, which I thought was very cool. And then number 1 for me, Light as a Feather. Chino's vocals on that song really do it for me. There's a lot of vocal echoing going on. Just very beautiful song, in my opinion. So yeah, Light as a Feather, number 1 for me.
Nice. Honorable mention for me would be Natural Selection as well. Like that track. And then 3, 2, 1, going Girls Float, Boys Cry, just because I love Robert Smith. And then Pulse Flag. I love that song. The warble vocoder shit is so cool. I love that track.
Fuck yeah.
And then I like Runner. It's my top.
Hell yeah. Runner. A lot of love for Runner. I didn't expect that, honestly. Let's see if Jake gives any love to Runner.
Runner was good. It's I'll put it at my honorable mention. Honorable mention, Runner.
I'm not trying to bully you. I didn't even put it in my honorable mention.
I'll like it. I'll keep it in.
Okay. Bet.
Matt gets he gives me looks that he's gonna beat me up, so I don't want to run into him in the parking lot.
It's well documented. He'll stab you with the pen.
I will.
Honorable mention, Runner. Number 3. Actually, honorable mention 2, Pleasure. I like that song. Great start. Number 3, Invisible Hand.
Nice.
It's like you said, it is kind of feels like the hit song on the album. Number 2, Big Youth. I want to know how the hell LP decided, hey, this sounds good, I'm gonna rap on it.
I want to know what bathroom, like that was like in the line at the urinal kind of meeting. Probably that was like a very that had to be like I randomly met him at an event, like, and then
it's like, Chino, you work on anything? Well, you know,
I think there's one thing maybe you can get on it.
Maybe you should spit a hot 16 on this. The great song, Big Youth. And then my favorite song, Natural Selection. That was your guys' honorable mention, and that is my number 1.
Hell yeah. Rock on Crouton. Fuck yeah. Natural Selection, great song. This album by Crosses, Goodnight, God Bless, I Love You, Delete. Fantastic. I think Jake's right. I think we'll probably hear a lot more love for it maybe, say, 7-8 months from now. But for now, here's a whole episode, or here's a whole segment on the podcast about it. My pick for this week, released in 2023. We're going to go ahead, and before we let you go, stick around. We'll tell you what's coming on episode 69, noise, of Whatchu Spinnin. We'll be right back. All right. Man, again, it's been real fun today. Been good to get back. We had to take an extra week off. And yeah, this is a real fun thing to do. So I'm glad that we got to get back together. Jake, thanks for hosting. Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Matt, glad that
Claro.
you are out of the dredges of being sick.
Healthy.
Hell yeah.
Ready to go.
I'm super stoked to see where we go from here because this was a very experimental episode, I feel like, for everybody. Red Fang, kind of out there. We haven't really touched on that genre. Crosses, pretty experimental, but also kind of cool because of Chino. And then Earl Sweatshirt, you know, well loved on the podcast from his features. So very cool to get into one of his solo projects and the very experimental debut of Doris, you know. So very experimental this episode. Let's see what happens come in a couple weeks. So to do that, we've got to have Jake tell us, or no, Matt. Who was first? Matt?
Me? How dare you, sir? I'll strike
Jesus.
you down.
I was trying to go in a weird order. So yeah, Matt, what do you got for us next week, buddy?
You know, I was going to go straight metal, but I changed my mind because of the Sunshine that's out today. And I feel like this album's good to listen to this summer. So we're going with 2003 release, kind of a compilation album by the Juggernauts
Ooh,
called Re-Release.
nice.
Very underground hip hop from the late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of the tracks came out in the 90s and the album didn't come out until later, but pretty unique. So hope you guys
Hell yeah. I'm stoked to hear that you've been giving that album a lot of love lately. So I'm super stoked to listen to that. The Juggernauts. Hell yeah. Jake, what do you got?
Very nice. Very excited for that one, Matt. I'm going with Beach House.
Nice.
Depression
Hell yeah.
Cherry.
Nice.
2015. Yeah.
Good old Beach House.
Good old Beach House.
That's one of those. Oh yeah, makes sense. Like that we would talk about that. You know, it's about one of those. It's about damn time. Beach House gets brought up. So hell yeah, Beach House. It's gonna be loud as hail real quick.
You brown bagged it today.
I
It was
did.
40. Old English over there too.
Well, someone decided.
Oh.
Someone was throwing fucking jabs earlier, but
Yes.
this was way decided. I decided this like a week and a half ago that we were bringing this up. It's just hilarious that Matt
That is a wrap.
had to talk some smack about Aerosmith because I'm bringing up 1975's "Toys in the Attic" by Aerosmith, one of my favorite albums of all time. So this is fucking hilarious.
I'm going to leave now.
Matt, I'm sorry that you have to listen to Aerosmith for 2 weeks, but one of my favorite albums. I'm super stoked to talk about it. So
I love that album as well.
fuck yeah. Oh yeah, we have when we worked together, we talked about Uncle Salty for
Yes,
like
love
that song
track,
alone.
dude, honestly.
Two of Aerosmith's biggest songs on one album, which I don't think a lot of people realize. So yeah, fucking great stuff. Beach House, Juggernauts, Aerosmith, Whatchu Spinnin, Dorian, Matt, Jake, Whatchu Spinnin, episode 69 coming in about 2 weeks, folks.
Giggity.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming, guys. And y'all, feel free to tell a friend, really, anybody, stranger on the street, hey, Whatchu Spinnin podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, momandadspodcast.com, whatever. Throw a podcast website out there. We're fucking on it. Great stuff. Yeah, we'll catch you next time. It's Whatchu Spinnin. Peace.
Bye. Go find new music.
Find new music. Listen to it all. Challenge yourself.